And before we practice forest dwellers practice, we need to understand which is forest and which is village in contrast to forest. And in order to understand the village, we need to understand the precincts of a house. What is a house and what is its precinct, and then a village, and then a forest. So a village is a dwelling inhabited of human beings. It may consist of only one house or many houses. It may have a wall surrounding it, or there may be no wall, and human beings may be living there, or they are not living there at the present moment. Even a caravan is called a village here, so which has been inhabited for at least 4 months. So such a place is called a village. And then the Visuddhimagga describes the precincts of a village. And you will find it in paragraph 48. So the precinct of a village is determined according to whether the village has a wall surrounding it or not. So if it has a wall surrounding it, and if it has two door posts or gate posts, like that of the city of Anuradhapura in Ceylon. Anuradhapura is an ancient city, and it was the place of Theravada Buddhism, or stronghold of Theravada Buddhism in Sri Lanka. It was in that city that the great monastery was situated, where Buddhaghosa went and got permission from the monks there to compile a new set of commentaries. And it seems that there are two gate posts, one inside the other. So a person standing not between the gate posts, as is stated in the translation, but a person standing at the inner gate post. So gate posts may be two, one the outer gate post and the other inner gate post. So a person standing at the inner gate post and then throw a stone. And how should the stone be thrown? That there was a difference of opinion here. So those who are well versed in Vinaya said that they should throw the stone as when they want to show their strength. That means at with the maximum strength, they should throw the stone, and that the place where the stone falls is the precinct of a village. But those who are well versed in Sotanta said that the stone should be thrown not in that way, but just as when you scare away the crows. So it may not you may not use much strength when you scare away the crow. So in that way you throw a stone, and the place where it falls is the precinct of a village. Now that is with regard to a village which has a wall around it. What about the village which has no wall? Then the outermost, there must be an outermost house. So from the precinct of that outermost house, one must throw a stone in the same way. So a house, precinct of a house, a village, precinct of a village. Now, someone standing at the precinct of a house throws a stone, and the stone falls, and that is village. And then another throw of a stone is the precinct of a village. That is with regard to villages that have no walls surrounding them. And outside that area is called a forest. Now, what is a forest? According to Vinaya, a forest means a place other than the village and the precinct of a village.
Does precinct then just mean boundary, or
it's not boundary. It is a
location? Or
it is some area supposed to belong to the village. It is not the village proper, but it is vicinity of a village or the area of a village.
I guess over here they will call it the sphere of influence.
So it's an area.
Yeah, an area outside the village proper, but supposed to be to belong to the village. And outside that area is what we call a forest. Yeah. So forest, according to Vinaya, is one thing, and to Abhidhamma is another, and to Sīlānanda is still another. So we have three kinds of forest. According to Vinaya, a place other than the village and the village precinct is called a forest. And according to Abhidhamma, the area outside the gate post, immediately outside the gate post, is called a forest. So there is difference. And according to Sīlānanda, still another. And we shall have to follow the Sīlānanda method here. And Sīlānanda method is a place at least 500 bow lengths from a village or village precinct. And that bow should be the one used by the teachers teaching archery, and it is strong bow. So strong bow is said to be about 4 cubits in length, so it means about 6 feet. So 6 feet multiplied by 500, about 3,000 feet. So about 3,000 feet from the village or from the precinct of a village is called a forest. So such a place is a forest here. And if the forest monastery has no walls, then from the outermost, we have to measure from the outermost building, and then from that building we have one throw of stone, and then another throw of stone, and then between these two falls of stone throws we must have 3,000 feet. There must be 3,000 feet. And the way to throw stone is according to that stated by the commentaries of Majjhima Nikaya, the middle length, the collection of middle length sayings. So roughly speaking, a place called a forest should be away from human habitat for as about 3,000 feet, about 1,000 yards. If it is closer than that, then it is not called a forest. And on page 73, at the end of the 50th chapter, there's a statement, "This is the measure here." And actually, measure means authority. It is the authority here. The Pali word used is pamana, which can mean measure, and also which can mean a means of right knowledge. Now, in Hindu logic, there are means of right knowledge. You get right knowledge by perception, by inference, and by textual authority, and so on. So here, the measure really means authority. So this is the authority here. That means we have to follow the Majjhima commentary. And in the Majjhima commentary, it is said that omitting the precincts of the monastery and the village, the distance to be measured is that between where the two stones fall. That means stone fall from the monastery and stone fall from the village. And between these two stone falls, there must be 500 bow lengths.
I guess I'm confused. I don't know anybody who can throw a stone 2,000 yards.
No, it is 1,000 yards from the stone throw. Stone throw should not be 1,000 yards or 500 bow lengths.
So instead of between, it should say.
So you stand at the gatepost of the village and throw a stone, and then the other person stands at the precinct of the monastery, a forest monastery, and throw a stone, and then between these two throws of stone, there must be 1,000 yards.
Oh, I see.
Why does a religious document define secular something like distance, which seems to be governmental? Because that was the government.
That's not the governmental measurement, but I think if it is about 1,000 yards away, then you get some seclusion. You don't hear sound or noise from the village. But that is according to in the olden days. But nowadays you can get noise everywhere from the plane, from the loudspeakers. So it is very difficult now to get a place which we can really call a forest. And then, even if the village is close by and the sounds of men are audible to people in the monastery, still, if it is not possible to go straight to it because of rocks, rivers, etc. in between, the 500 bow lengths can be reckoned by that road, that means by the regular road, even if one has to go by boat. Maybe the road is winding, but if that road is 500 bow length, then it is all right. But anyone who blocks the path to the village here and there for the purpose of lengthening it, so as to be able to say that he is taking up the practice, is cheating the ascetic practices. The Pali word used is a thief, a thief of ascetic practice. I think the others are not difficult to understand in this. So, a person who takes up this practice should, the best person, the strict person should should always meet the dawn in the forest. So he must be in the forest at the time of dawn. The medium one is allowed to live in a village for the 4 months of the rain. So when there are rains, he can live in the forest, in the monastery. But the last one, the mild one, could stay in the vihara for winter months too. So 4 months of rainy season, 4 months of winter. Then he practices this ascetic practice only for 4 months during summer. So this is the mild one. And the benefits and all these are not difficult to understand. So this is the forest dwellers practice. And the next practice is tree root dwellers practice. That means living under a tree. And that person should avoid some kind of trees given here. A tree near a frontier, because there can be fighting between two kings or two people who rule those places. So he must avoid such a tree. And then a shrine tree, because people gather around that tree, and so he could not get seclusion. A gum tree, that's dangerous. A fruit tree, a birch tree, a hollow tree. A hollow tree means a tree as a hollow, so that snakes and other wild animals can live there. Or a tree standing in the middle of a monastery, because many people come to the monastery, and so he could not get seclusion. He can choose a tree standing on the outskirts of a monastery, away from the place where many people gather. So that is such a tree he has to choose. And also 3 grades. So the first one, the strict one, is not allowed to have a tree that he has chosen tidied up. So he must live there just as it is. He can only move the fallen leaves with his foot while dwelling there. He must not make that place lovely and attractive. But the medium one is allowed to get it tidied up only by those who happen to come along. But the mild one can take up residence there after summoning monastery attendants and novices and getting them to clear it up, level it, and then scatter sand and make a fence round with a gate fixed in it. So there are always 3 kinds of people. And the moment he enters a covered place, then he breaks his practice. And the next one, living in the open air dwellers practice. So no building, no tree, but he must live in the open air. And this is possible maybe only in tropical countries or in Asia, not in this country. So he is allowed to enter the Uposatha house, means a house where monks assemble twice a month and recite the rules of Patimokkha and listen to the recitation for the purpose of hearing the Dhamma or for the purpose of the Uposatha. If it rains while he is inside, he can go out when the rain is over instead of going out while it is raining. He is allowed to enter the eating hall or the fire room. Fire room means room where sweat room. What do you call them here? Sauna, something like sauna. In order to do the duties, or to go under a roof in order to ask elder bhikkhus in the eating hall about a meal. That means to invite them for a meal or to ask them what they want. or when teaching and taking lessons, or to take beds, chairs, etc. inside that have been wrongly left outside. So for that purpose, he can enter the place with the roof. If he is going along a road with the requisite belonging to a senior, and it rains, that means he is taking some things of a senior monk. And so if he is doing so, he is allowed to go into a wayside rest house. Then he could go into a rest house. If he has nothing with him, he is not allowed to hurry in order to get to the rest house. But he can go at his normal pace and enter it and stay there as long as it rains. And then here also there are 3. So the strict one is not allowed to live near a tree or a rock or a house. She must be away from that. That means too close to the tree and so on. He should make a rope tent right out in the open and live in that. That means a tent made of cloth or ropes. It may be used to ward off wind and heat and cold. The medium one is allowed to live near a tree or a rock or a house so long as he is not covered by them. So he could live near the tree. The mild one is allowed these: a rock overhang without a drip ledge cut in it. It is something like a patio, a rock. And when the rain comes, the raindrops fall and flow away and not into. So that is such a place. A hut of branches, a cloth stiffened with paste, and a tent treated as a fixture that has been left by field watchers and so on. So sometimes they put up such a building, and then when they left, they just left this building. So he could take up that building. Then the next one, channel ground. Channel ground dwellers practice. Now, the channel ground dweller should not live in some place just because the people who built the village have called it the channel ground, for it is not a channel ground unless a dead body has been burnt on it. So when they first build a village, then they put aside some space, some site for a cemetery. And if no dead body has yet been buried or cremated, as it is stated here, then it is not yet a cemetery. So at least one body must have been burnt there. But as soon as one has been burnt on it, it becomes charnel ground. And even if it has been neglected for a dozen years, it is so still. And a person who dwells at the cemetery has to be very careful, and he has to follow some kind of regulations. So he should not be the sort of person who get walks, pavilions, etc. built, has beds and chairs set out, and drinking and washing water kept ready, and preaches Dhamma. He must not do all these things there. For this practice is a momentous thing. It is a very important thing. Whoever goes to live there should be diligent, and he should first inform the senior elder of the order or the king's local representative in order to prevent trouble. That is, sometimes thieves may frequent that place, and they may leave something there. And so when the owners came and the thieves had left, then they may take the monk as a thief. And so there is a danger of being suspected. So a monk who is going to live in a cemetery should inform the senior monk at the monastery and also an official of the government. When he walks up and down, he should do so looking at the pyre with half an eye. So he, something like looking at the pyre and walk and looking at the pyre and so on. On his way to the charnel ground, he should avoid the main roads and take a bypath. He should define all the objects there while it is day. So he must go there during the day and then make notes of the things there. Because if he doesn't make notes of the things, and when he goes there in the at night, he may get frightened of some things there. So he has to make notes of all these things, so that they will not assume frightening shapes for him at night. Even if non-human beings wander about screeching, he must not hit them with anything. So cemeteries are supposed to be the place of ghosts and spirits, and they may make noise. It is not allowed to miss going to the charnel ground even for a single day. The reciters of the Ankutra say that after spending the middle watch in the charnel ground, he is allowed to leave in the last watch. So a night is divided into three parts: the first watch, second watch, and third watch. So spending the middle watch in the charnel ground, and he is allowed to leave in the last watch. It's about from 2 to 6 in the morning.
Which is the middle one, 2 to 6?
From 6 to 10 is the first watch. So 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is the middle watch, and 2 a.m. to 6 p.m. the last watch. He should not take such foods as sesame flour, peas pudding, fish, meat, milk, oil, sugar, etc., which are liked by non-human beings. He should not take means he should not eat. Not take these things to the cemetery. He cannot do that either. So he must not eat these too.
What's peas pudding?
I don't know what that means. What is the meaning of peas? P-E-A-S-E.
I don't know.
Sesame seeds?
Peas?
No, sesame.
Sesame flour.
Sesame.
Is that sesame?
Yeah, sesame.
That's the answer I thought, but peas.
I think it is pea.
No, the E.
That's right.
Pea pudding?
Pea pudding.
Pea pudding.
Yeah, masa butter here. Yes.
Okay.
Or it may be rice mixed with peas.
Okay.
In our countries, people prepare rice with peas. So it should be peas.
No,
There's dried, all sorts of dried lentils and beans, things maybe that's,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not fresh peas so much as
Oh, like split
like
pea.
lentils and
Split peas.
Yeah,
split
yes,
peas,
yeah.
I would think.
Mm.
I see, split peas.
More probably.
And then he should not enter the homes of families. And the reason is given in the footnote. He should not go into families' houses because he smells of the dead and is followed by pisāca goblins. And the strict one should stay where there is constant what to call that? There's always burnings and corpses and mournings. And the medium one is allowed to live where there is one of these three: burning, or corpses, or people crying. And the mild one is allowed to live in a place that possesses the bare characteristics of eternal ground already stated. So if the place is the one where at least one dead body has been burnt, then that is a place for him. It is a belief that there are non-human beings at the charnel ground or cemeteries, and they may show themselves to the monk staying there. They may because it is believed that ordinarily human beings cannot see ghosts, but if they wish, they can show themselves to the human being.
The ghosts can show themselves.
The ghosts can, yeah, and they can assume frightening features, and then frighten the people away from the charnel ground.
What is the actual experience? That monks were frightened, did see spirits?
They want to scare people away from the place. But a monk must be firm, and he must not be afraid of them. But he must not hit them with anything or whatever. If he wants to hit, he must hit them with metta, loving kindness. So a lot of loving kindness is necessary for monks who live at the cemeteries. And this is undertaken as a special practice to shake away the defilements. Then the 12th one is...
So this is a special practice. It sounds like among the three types, the hate type probably should go to the charnel grounds.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe a greed would be a...
That's right. It's most suitable for those who are greedy. Okay, the 12th one is what? Any bad users. Is that 12?
Yeah.
Yes. Any bad users. Actually, it does not necessarily mean any bed. There's any place for him to stay. It may be a small hut for him. So now, when a person visits some monastery, then he must go to a monk who is in charge of assigning places or assigning huts to guest monks. So if he is assigned a hut, then he must take that. The strict one must just take that, and he must not refuse to take, or he must not go and see before accepting it. So it is called any bed users or any hut users. So the any bed user should be content with whatever resting place he gets thus. So resting place here means just a place for him to stay. This falls to your lot. He must not make anyone else shift from his bed. Sometimes older monks have the right to claim a hut given to a younger monk. But if he is undertaking this practice, then he must not do that. He just take what is given to him or what falls to him. And there are three grades. One who is strict is not allowed to ask about the resting place that has fallen to his lot. Is it far, or is it too near, or is it infested by human beings, snakes, and so on? He doesn't have to do any of these things. But the medium one is allowed to ask, but not to go and inspect it. The mild one is allowed to inspect it, and if he does not like it, to choose another. Now the last one. Sitting man. Sitter's practice. That means he does not lie down at any time. So the sitter can get up in any one of the 3 watches of the night and walk up and down. For lying down is the only posture not allowed. And the 3 grades. One who is strict is not allowed a backrest or cloth band or binding strap to prevent falling while asleep. So, the backrest is obvious. It is not difficult to understand. But the cloth band and binding strap are difficult to understand. So cloth band means some kind of cloth you put around your body when you sit. Maybe something like this, so that you do not fall down. A cloth or a rope. And the other one is a band, something not necessarily a big cloth, but a band of a cloth wrapped around the body. And there is one other thing, but it is not mentioned here. That is handband. That means sitting this way. That's not allowed for monks.
As a meditation posture or at any time?
At any time. It's not allowed for monks.
In our tradition, we also, at least from stories in the koans, there's also something called a chin rest. In other words, there's a stick, which you could, I guess...
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
But that's not mentioned.
No, not the chin rest. It is a cloth wrapped around the body or a band of cloth. The medium one is allowed any one of these, and the mild one is allowed a backrest, a cloth band, a binding strap, a cushion, 5 limb, and a 7 limb. A 5 limb is a chair made with 4 legs and a support for the back. So, which has a backrest. The 7th limb is one made with 4 legs, a support for the back, and an arm support on each side. So most chairs here nowadays are 7-limbed, like that chair. 4 feet, backrest, and then one on each side for the hand to rest. So a mild one can use such a chair to sit on it and sleep on it whilst in a sitting posture. He may use a cushion. They made that, it seems, for the elder Abhidhamma. Some people made such a thing, a 7-limbed chair for the elder Abhidhamma. And he practiced that ascetic practice, and he practiced meditation, and he became a non-returner, and then attained Nibbana. So it is allowable to use such things when you take up this ascetic practice. And I think you have heard of the Sayādaw at Tampulu, who was the founder of the Tampulu monastery in Boulder Creek. And he always undertook this practice. So he never lies down to sleep, or whatever reason. So he always slept on a chair or on a couch. And also all of his disciple monks have to undertake this kind of practice. It's not easy. Always, yeah. So you don't see a bed there at Tampulu monastery. You see only couches, or not couches, what do you call them? Chairs and something like that. And they sit and they sleep this way, resting on the backrest. So these are the 13 ascetic practices, and which are said to shake off defilements. So in order to shake off defilements, monks have to practice 1, 2 or more of these ascetic practices as and when they are able to. Now we come to the explanation on miscellaneous aspects. And the first one is treating ascetic practices according to Abhidhamma. So the first one is what? As to the profitable triad. So that is difficult to understand, right? Page 79, bottom of the page. So, as to the profitable triad, all the ascetic practices, that is to say, those of trainers, ordinary men, and men whose cankers have been destroyed, may be either profitable or, in the Arahant's case, indeterminate. Now, at the beginning of Abhidhamma, all the ultimate realities are treated in triads, different triads. There are 21 such different triads. So in the first triad, it is said that there are those that are kusala, there are those that are akusala, and there are those that are neither kusala nor akusala. So to treat or to classify the ascetic practices according to this triad, it is said that the ascetic practices are either kusala or indeterminate, neither kusala nor akusala. There can be no akusala ascetic practice. So when an ordinary person who has not reached any of the attainment, the enlightenment, stages of enlightenment, and also those who have attained enlightenment but not yet arahants. So when they practice, their ascetic practice is said to belong to kusala. But when the arahants practice, then the practices belong to neither kusala nor akusala, or indeterminate. So there can be no akusala in the ascetic practices. But there is someone who says, can we practice one of these practices with the evil purpose? I want to be popular with people, I want to get gifts from them, and so I pretend to be practicing these ascetic practices. Then cannot there be akusala then? So the answer is no. Even though you can live in a forest with the akusala mind, akusala consciousness, but the ascetic practice cannot be akusala. Ascetic practice means the practice of an ascetic. An ascetic is a one who shakes off akusala. So a person who does not shake off akusala is not called an ascetic. If he cannot be called an ascetic, his practice cannot be called an ascetic's practice. So ascetic practice cannot be akusala. It can either be kusala or in Pali it is called abhyagata, indeterminate. Indeterminate means neither kusala nor akusala. And also, an ascetic practice is defined as knowledge. knowledge is called an ascetic practice also. Knowledge here means panya. Panya means either kusala or indeterminate, and there can be no panya in akusala. So since ascetic practice is taken to be panya, it cannot be akusala. It is kusala or abhyagata. So ascetic practice cannot be akusala. So only two, kusala or abhyagata. Wholesome or indeterminate. Now there are some people who say that the ascetic practices are out of this triad. They don't belong to any of this triad. So ascetic practices do not belong to wholesome or unwholesome or indeterminate. They are out of these three. So that is the opinion